Hey guys, welcome back to the table with Finding a Toria. We are a TTRPG podcast, a group of friends that have been gaming together for decades and like to talk about all things TTRPG.
We do it every week.
We do it every week.
Every week, too, yes. Welcome back.
Yeah, we are so excited to have you at the table with us, listening to our shenanigans. I have at the table today myself, Arcadia, and my co-partner in crazy cahoots, Malcolm.
Hello.
We are missing our beloved Tori today.
Our bird is gone today, and we miss her. But we had a meeting of the three minds yesterday and made some decisions to, continue to bring you guys consistent content because I get really pouty if we don't.
Yes.
And B, give people time that they need to do the things in life that are lifey. So you will hear back from Tori.
We don't have lives.
Soon.
There's nothing outside of this, right?
There is no world beyond the studio. Close the window. But we do miss her, and we gave Jess the weekend off as well, and Arcadia and I are here to, what do we have in front of us today?
We have fun stuff in follow-up from Gen Con.
We did. We continue the Gen Con
We do. You guys are all like, Gen Con again. But we wanted to take an opportunity to share with you some of the really incredible experiences we had. We've talked a lot about Gen Con, what it was, and some of the things we saw. But Malcolm and I had the wonderful opportunity to walk the halls and talk to people and see the products. And we wanted to shout out a bit to some of the people we met and got to know a little bit in the community and highlight the wonderful things that they are doing in the community.
And I will just say, like we made a little light of last episode, is we are not being paid. We do not have a reach or listenership right now that would compel people to give us money to speak about their products at this time. But A, it's good practice, and B, these are good people. This is highlighting folks in the community that I don't think need us to, but we should as well anyway.
Well, and to that point, my real drive on this, I've got to just say, is our whole desire is to make being a part of the community more accessible for people,
right?
And or to enhance their experience gaming. And a lot of the people we met and a lot of the products they're creating are, feed that goal.
Sure.
And so I think getting a chance to share that out and say, hey, if you're looking for something like this, there's this really cool product for that.
Or if you're one of those creators that isn't where you want to be eventually yet, you can take a look at some of these folks that are doing art that are in places in the community that maybe, you'd like to get to. So I'm excited to do that. We're also going to do a little bit of name dropping because we hung out with cool people.
We did hang out with cool people. And can I just say, I know you're saying that we hung out with cool people. No, actually we hung out with some really cool people.
Really cool people. It was a unique opportunity, I think, that we were offered through invitation. I'll of course let Arcadia say more about it, but after all of the starstruckedness that maybe hit me in that room, it was just hanging out with some really cool people.
Exactly.
So
I guess jumping in on that, we've talked about it, I think, a little bit in our past episodes, is we had a really amazing opportunity for us and where we are as a business to get to go to a meet and greet Thursday night at Gen Con to a Darrington Press meeting. And this was a social meeting that also gave people, creators in the space, an opportunity to meet some of the producers, the game designers, and the marketing professionals with Darrington Press. And if you follow them on their socials or anything like that, you will see that they are actively looking for people to add to their world.
It's a growing sort of thing right now. Darrington with the success of Daggerheart and their other properties, but it was very, very cool to be in a room with so many people that have had so much to do with their own little centers of community and own little portions of the TTRPG space and world and how various it is. And then the Darrington people were just hands down incredible. They were high energy, very welcoming. The space was cool. And I know you and I kind of got pulled apart almost immediately, just wanting to talk to different people and different people wanting to come up and talk to us. And it was just very, very neat to have it was an intimate setting. There were not a lot of people there, so you really got time to have good conversations instead of just handshakes and how are you doing? Right. Here's my card. And really got some good time with some really cool names and some very awesome personalities in that organization.
Yeah, and I'd like to shout out not just, when we say that, we're not just talking about the staff at Darrington.
No.
Although, really loved getting to know some of them. We met some really fun creators in the community. So, Malcolm, I know you've got a couple there that, we got names and cards and we chatted for a while.
Did you want to talk about the creators first?
Yeah, let's call out maybe some of the people that we met who we really enjoyed getting to know a little bit.
I think it's any time that you go to one of these multi-day things and you meet somebody on day one and then you see them, it's something as large as a Gen Con and as packed and as busy as a Gen Con that you can just bump into, because we weren't anywhere near anything.
Tens of thousands of people.
It was. So one of the first really, professional introductions that we had when the mixer started was with a couple of young ladies from the East Coast, and they are known as the BG Girlies. And they do a fantastic job on Instagram, YouTube of board game reviews are kind of their big thing. And these are just two bestie friends that are really kind of in their cutesy niche. I'm holding the card and the card is sparkly and it's pink and it's very...
And it really matches their personality.
Really just
they were so
bubbly,
fabulous.
Fun immediately. And you could tell that these are two people that enjoy being around each other.
Yeah.
And if they were not doing what they're doing on Instagram and on YouTube, and they do a lot of unboxing videos, they do a lot of the cozy game night sort of setting videos, and just really have what seems to be a healthy following of people that enjoy that milieu. And these two are Hannah and Andrea. They're kind of taglines. They like to roll dice and make memories, which I couldn't be more impressed with. And they have just about every social media handle that you could imagine. But if you ever want to go check out their stuff, I found them on YouTube immediately under BG Girlies. They are on Instagram at BG Girlies and are looking for collaborators. So you can send them an email at bggirlies.biz@gmail.com. Very fun, very vibrant people. And then I think that they were one of the first conversations we had at the meet and greet.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, and I can't even tell you where we were in exhibit hall. We were in the
arts section of exhibit hall.
We were, and turned around, and there they both were, a little bit dressed down comparatively to the night before.
Right.
And it was one of those, hey, I know you, and I know where I know you from, and I'm seeing you here. It was almost cool.
Yeah. It was. And again, just speaking to who they are as fun, good people, we saw each other. We said, oh, hey, how's your con? Are you having fun? And sort of reflected a little bit on the conversations from the night before. And yeah, so anyways, really, really enjoyable couple of friends there doing their thing in the space.
We talked to them about stickers.
Yes, we did.
And our inability to market with stickers all over Indiana Convention Center. We both bemoaned that rule, but understood it very well. So I really enjoy getting to know them, meeting them a little bit, and we'll probably reach out and see if there's something on the collaborative side that they would be interested in doing with Finding a Toria.
Yeah, definitely. So who else have you got there?
Oh, goodness.
We've got a fun list of friends, new friends.
Yes. So along with them, and this gentleman I couldn't get enough of. You want to talk about somebody that knows how to work a room. I was probably in 6 or 7 conversation spaces during the meet and greet. He was at every one of them.
All right. I think I know who you're going to say.
If you remember the man with the cool gold pencils.
Oh, yes. And we have seen pictures of the pencils on social media online, since then.
It's proof of coolness.
Actually, speaking of.
Oh, you have yours right in front of you.
I have my pencil right in front of me. I had no idea
that you had kept it. I thought it was a loss.
So I need to read this off for everybody because we mentioned the cool pencils. So we haven't introduced our friend's name yet, but we have Dramedy Dice. And then on the pencil, it says close range assessor for Daggerheart.
Right. So if you want to know whether you're in close range of something and you're playing your game, you put down Dan Taylor's cool little pencil that he branded well for the meet and greet. And you can find out whether you're in close range. But Dan does Zero Level Media. And Zero Level Media is responsible for Catacombs and Comedians, which is a wildly popular stage show where they do, by his own card, they make fun of role-playing games. Making a joke of role-playing games.
Yeah,
so you've got comedians with skills and understanding of TTRPGs having a heyday with it.
I loved this concept. I had really never even thought of anything like it. And just to hear him, I mean, it's sort of like live play, but it's comedians doing it and doing it as a comedy show. And it was actually really cool when he was talking about it, how he's saying they open at Gen Con
and he's become
every
a
year.
staple,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Where he was at Helium, I believe, in Indianapolis, which is where they go, and they are there a couple of days before Gen Con starts, and they're as much of a staple of the event as so many other things. But
definitely would be something I would want to check out next year.
This is a big personality guy. This is you can tell, a stage kind of guy.
Yeah.
And I believe he said they're based out of Memphis. Am I correct?
Yeah, I'm not. I don't remember if it was Memphis, but he did say the South is sort of where he's from. However, I've got to bring up who was with him was one of his comedians. That, all right, guys, I've got to throw this out here. That Malcolm obviously loves all things in our space. And he already mentioned sort of, being at a Darrington Press meet and greet. Obviously you've got a little bit of fandom type stuff going on. But, that wasn't overwhelming by any means. We were there to meet people and learn about opportunities in the TTRPG community. And it was really, really cool because one of the comedians that works with Dan was someone that Malcolm has seen on a show on TV, and he fangirled out about that more than
some of the
anything else. The entire, actually, I would say the whole weekend. It was fabulous.
So if you know the game or the show Adventure Party, which was on the Dungeons and Dragons television network for a time, one of the actors that's on that show, which is a great live play roundtable with very strong actors at the table, is an artist named Sarah Babe. And I had watched this human navigate that room on a cart for an injured leg the entire evening and do it very well.
Oh, yeah.
And the entire time I'm like, I know this human being. Like, I'm been in Indianapolis before. There could be all kinds of situations, but I did not recognize her until we were in our last conversation, kind of the business conversation of the evening. And I had been doing a very good job in public.
Yes, you had.
The entire evening, I had not done any social faux pas, kept my shoes on, like things were going well.
Right.
And then I recognized Sarah Babe. And she was like, do you watch it? And I was like, Adventure Party, that's you. And she did what any kind human would do when someone's having a little bit of a fit because they've recognized him, and offered me a hug, which I should have kindly declined and said, no, I don't, you're not out in public. And I ran to that woman and I hugged her like we had played D&D together for decades.
And can I say what I loved about it is, I mean, she's, she does the comedian on stage,
Correct.
so like she's in front of people, she's been on TV. I mean, granted, sure, not on like gigantic, huge,
don't know
whatever.
her entire IMDb, but
when she found out that you recognized her, I mean, she was sort of like you know who I am.
Oh my gosh, dude! Yeah,
it was really really cool.
I recommend the heck out of that little show.
She was sort of tickled pink by that.
But yeah, so back to Dan Taylor and and she is one of the comedians that works with them in Zero Level Media to do Catacombs and Comedians. You can check out all of their stuff on Patreon, Instagram, everywhere. It's at Zero Level Media is where you're going to find them. And then coolest guy, right, Dan? And just to that fact, on his business card that he hands out is one of the neatest quotes that I think for his industry and what they do is so applicable. And it's "Don't think. Thinking is the Enemy of Creativity" by Ray Bradbury.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect for improv people that have to go up there and entertain. So
very cool.
Dan was a good time. Sarah was so gracious to deal with because I think I did the little flapping wings
like you did.
Like
you fangirled out.
Moment. Yeah.
It was fabulous.
My face is going red and I'm sweating a little just talking about it. She just played a fantastic character on that show that is very, very memorable in a room full of very, very memorable characters and actors. So yes, I didn't know if I was trying to dodge that little story from our meet and greet, but I'm glad that we did.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. It was one of the best moments of the night.
So we met a lot of people that were industry adjacent and in that creation space while we were there, but we also did get some time with the hosts, who was Darrington Press, and our host, I guess, was Gary Thomas, who I'll mention, who actually sent the invite and said, please come out and join us. He did a very good intro for the room. And then we got to spend some time with some of the people that are making decisions about how Darrington's products, how this Dagger Heart release is going, how the trajectory of what seems to be a very well-fueled company, a very well-tuned organization right now is going.
Right.
And I got not stuck. I allowed myself to linger with one or two folks and know that I would have loved to have joined you for a couple of conversations that you went and had. Tell me a little bit about who you met and let's name drop some Darrington people.
Well, I want to start with the very first group of people that you and I were talking with together.
Oh, okay.
Just because, this is how our night started. And it was really, again, to your point, just welcoming, gracious, really great hosts. We got there, like Malcolm said, very small group, and I'm going to mispronounce her last name probably, but Elise Resendez is a senior product manager producer at Darrington, and she just came right over, shook hands, introduced herself.
That lady's got some energy.
And she does a lot of the introductions, on stage, and
very
all of that.
Very visible component of the company. And my first question to her after she listed out all the shit that she'd been doing in the last 48 hours was like, I didn't hear sleep. And she's like, no. We sleep when the con's done.
Right, exactly. So, it's like, I remember sleep vaguely.
She was very, very cool. Who else was in that circle of folks? We had
so Elise, we started talking with her, and then Rowan came over right away. And I think we've mentioned her name before, way at the very beginning when we started talking about Dagger Heart. And I will say that was where I had a very brief reined-in fangirl moment, because she introduced herself and started to explain that she was one of the Dagger Heart designers, and I was like, oh, I know.
Right, exactly.
Like, I recognize your name.
Rowan Hall, very, very cool, very great conversation that just was not forced. They had questions. They were curious about how we were interacting with their products, their thoughts. They were going around with the Dagger Heart special edition cards.
Oh, yes, the special edition cards were amazing.
Which has been all over the internet. Like, got handed to me and I was like, that's pretty cool, gag. Okay, whatever. And then you go back after Gen Con and there are threads on social media where people are like, look, I've got 5 of the 6. I've got 3 of this one. I'm willing to trade and drive 600 miles in any direction. If you have the 6, it just became.
Yes, because they were only you only got them if you were there. You
Correct.
only got them if you were at Gen Con and you went to the Darrington booth, or like this where you were at a private meeting or something like that. And they only had a limited supply. Actually, that
3,000.
I was going to say, I loved the video that Elise and Rowan put out, hyping
They're under the
cards.
table segment.
Yeah.
So they were very cool. It was a very well done event. Elise seems to me like a very high level product producer, just a guru kind of around people, and just stepping back a little bit to watch what she did in that room. Very impressive, very, very cool to have that level of energy and keep that up. Came with some really great information about what to get ready for, and we'll talk about what Darrington announced, but this was such an exciting Gen Con for that company.
Yeah.
This was their arrival Gen Con in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And, just to shout out, because we were talking about Elise and maybe if you want to do some background on Rowan.
Sure,
but,
go ahead.
I had mentioned Elise is a, senior producer, RPG producer over at Darrington. But man, she's got chops. She's won an Emmy for creating the Session Zero system.
Oh, nice.
So, when we talk about Session Zero and how that can benefit a game, she's put together this wonderful system. She designed it, and let me remember the name. Was it Atlas? Atlas Games. That's right. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I've had too many game company names in my head. But she has created her own production company. They published the system. It's being sold by Atlas Games. But it is an entire system to sort of take you through a Session Zero
and make it natural and make sure that you're touching on all of the things that are important in that. What a huge contribution and what a neat thing to get an award for. And you could tell this was space that everybody in that room felt very, very comfortable in. And getting an opportunity to idea exchange, getting an opportunity to kind of cut up and laugh with those people was a very good time. I don't want us to get too far down the road before we take a quick break, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then when we come back, I'll fill in the other slot of who was in that first conversation space, talk a little bit about meeting Rowan, kind of what was interesting in what, because the questions being asked by those two were driving the conversation. It wasn't they were there for a panel and, all right, just pummel us with questions. They were engaging people in the room, wanting to know more about how the game was being interacted with. And I thought that was very nice. But we'll take a quick break. We'll come back here on Finding Atoria, the follow-up to the wrap-up of Gen Con.
And then we will move on, we promise.
And then we will be done. We'll start prep for next Gen. No, all right. We'll be right back after a break. Thank you, guys. My sincerest apologies to Sarah Babe and the entire Encounter Party team. Yes, the name of the show is Encounter Party from 2019 to 2023. And I was fangirling over the right person and gave the wrong name of the show that I knew them from. Sarah Babe has been in many other things and is known for Skid Steer in 2013. But I was referencing and recognizing her from her role in Encounter Party 2019 to 2023. Thank you. This episode of Finding Atoria is brought to you by Wordleaf Media. The Finding Atoria podcast is looking for guests for our upcoming episodes. Are you or someone you know passionate about the TTRPG community and have a story to share? If so, contact us on our socials or reach out at wordleafmedia.com/findingatoria. And now back to your program.
Hey guys, welcome back to the table with Finding Atoria. We are having sort of our post Gen Con follow-up.
Our re-wrap up.
Right. Malcolm and Arcadia here, having fun at the table, talking about some of the wonderful people we met and some of the amazing products that we saw.
Sure. And we were discussing our our awesome opportunity to go to the Darrington Press Meet and Greet Thursday before Gen Con, and some of the people we were conversating with.
Yeah, and, I had just talked about Elise, one of the wonderful producers over at Darrington, and I know, Malcolm, you had some really good information to share with about Rowan Hall, who we had some really fun conversation with.
Rowan Hall, co-creator of Daggerheart, by the way. Kind of cool. Like you said, just be standing there and going, oh, yes, the name on the name tag is the name on the book.
Right.
Interesting. Yeah. Rowan, once again, very, very personable, very just enjoyable to be around in that setting.
Yeah.
Nobody was in sort of this forced little business communication mode. It was all very light and fun.
Oh, we had some really fun conversation with Rowan.
We did. A little bit about Rowan. This was not her first adventure in game writing. Of course, she's got credits for Candela Obscura. You can also listen to Rowan, which I was not aware of, but she is one half of the Willing and Fable podcast, which I can't wait to dig into.
Me
after
either.
Reading but just a very funny, very gregarious person who was there for all the right reasons to engage with people in the community that had interacted with the product that she had so much time, effort, and skill in building. We were talking about our other friends over at Oddfish Games during this conversation, just some of the people that we were going to be seeing at Gen Con, and discussing their adventure sense a little bit. And I know it sounds like we're going right into commercial mode, but this was actually the conversation that happened. And as we did on our podcast, kind of touched on some of the less savory
right
scents.
Yeah, why is it we always do that there's so many really cool scents there.
We're going to go through them. We'll talk about them some more,
but we always go to those really gross ones.
Fetid marshal. Yeah, so Rowan made the declaration at that point in time that there were no disgusting smells in Daggerheart.
And I loved it because we all were like joking and laughing about it. And Spencer, the other co-creator of Daggerheart's over in another little group of people talking. Oh, yeah. And she like yells across the room. She's like, Spencer, this is canon now.
Right. And apparently that's happened. Like I brought up after, it was known that there were no bad scents in the world, that, yes, we should probably get a lot of honeysuckle, and then I used the word lavender, and something happened to Rowan.
Right.
It was visceral. It was not pleasant. And like, she stopped everything. She was like, no lavender in Daggerheart. And I was like, ha ha ha. No. Hey, Spencer, no lavender in Daggerheart. Right. And I just thought how cool it would be to maybe write up a one-shot that explains the absence of lavender in Daggerheart.
Right,
like what happened in the Witherwild that, whatever it was. But
that destroyed the lavender.
Very, very
the
cool.
day the lavender was lost.
Very talented human. Has written, produced, directed, been in movies.
Yeah, I was going to say, is also an actress.
Is an actress. Mm-hmm. And just who you want to be around right now in game creation. You had mentioned Spencer. Mm-hmm. That was my anchor point when that gentleman stopped to talk to me a little bit. I kind of was going to stay for as long as he was going to share, and there was no lack of sharing.
No, can I just like comment out? Because he was, and Rowan was too, so I'm not trying to say one way or the other, but he was just so down to earth and sharing sort of a lot of the process of how the game was
journey
designed and developed. And it was so interesting to me. Mm-hmm. I loved hearing his stories about that.
I really did enjoy, and for those that don't know, we're discussing Spencer Stark, who is the other creation credit on Daggerheart. And he spent, I would say, a good 20 minutes to half an hour with myself and two other people just chopping it up.
Yeah.
Just talking game. And we had some good conversations about where, what are you getting? And I told him, I said, our big thing is we want to get more people to the table and make gaming more accessible. And I think you kind of did that a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
Not that any of these approaches, these mechanics, these ways of gaming were not known before, but I don't know that you found them in the way that you find them in Daggerheart put together.
It's an amalgamation of experiences from other games that have been put together to make something new.
Right. With that narrative focus, that collaborative narrative, fictional building focus. And I think it can allow for more people to come to the game without this. There's mechanics in the game. There's math in the game. There's dice in the game. It's not just storytelling. But you are given a level of comfort to kind of create your own space and experiences for your character, and not everything is a table. I'm not drawing comparisons to, but in that effort to allow more people to find space at their table, I think that
it's another space
that Rowan and Spencer created a unique space there, which I think is important. He went on and on about, what he liked about the game, and what he made comment that he had, kind of had this done.
That's where I was going to go. Is I loved, actually, in some of his stories, he talked about how he had previously failed in some of the design, and then and so how he learned from those situations.
Sure.
Which I really, that's such a truth for anybody that does anything. Is that you got to fail to learn what needs to be improved, to learn how to do it better. And I just love that he was sharing some of that.
And this was not his first adventure in creating a game.
Oh,
of
goodness,
course.
No.
He was he's known very well for Icarus. He's known well for Kids on Brooms, and actually won his Emmy for Alice is Missing, which is which is a text play-by-text game that was wildly popular. Started off as film kid. He was going to college for the film industry, production and directing and making, and he said it's so difficult to get anything made in that industry.
Sure.
But when you're around all of these people that are creatives and producers and directors and writers and actors, it was probably a decent little, let's sit down, play a game, and pretend at each other, as we did starting back in the early 90s. But these are people that have gravitas in those areas.
So here's I'm going to jump us a little bit, because you talk about grabbing the people you're working with and being like, let's sit down and play a game. I was having a really, really great conversation with Darrington's community outreach.
Oh,
wow. This is Alex, and she's in charge of managing their community relations. We were having while you were chopping it up with Spencer, I was having a fabulous conversation with Alex, and she just offhand mentions their game days at the office, where that's what they do. They go and they play games, and I was like, I'd like that job. Thank you very much.
Right. No. Ed, I've got to work on my spreadsheet. Sorry, Jason. It's game day. Get your dice and get your ass to the table.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. You know what I mean? Like, who lives this way?
Right.
So very cool personality. And I got just a moment with Alex later after you did. What did you two, from a community perspective, where's Darrington and Crit Roll and Daggerheart moving towards?
Yeah. I really loved my conversation with Alex, because, at our parent company, Wordleaf Media, our big push is that we want to help. Our vision is we want to help people find their place at their table.
Right.
And that was the core of everything that Alex and I talked about, and ways that, that Darrington, Daggerheart, and all that are interested in that same philosophy. And it was such a fun conversation, because it wasn't like having a business conversation. It was two people really passionate about spreading the benefits of gaming to a broader audience, to more people who maybe don't have access to that, and who are passionate about trying to make certain more people have access to that.
And you know what I like about the fact that they have a community outreach, and I'm sorry, I don't know Alex's title off the top of my head, but this is a company who has achieved great
community manager.
This is a company that has achieved fantastic success with macro engagement to audience, YouTube and social media and big events. And the idea is still that your local gaming stores, your schools and libraries and meeting places where people sit down, pick up a game and start it, and then go and talk to other people about it, may still be one of the best ways to grow your game in popularity if that's their, you get kids that are young, interested early, that do nothing but communicate with their peers about what's cool.
Right.
And yes, you can do that with a share of a video from somebody playing on a stage on a video that's on YouTube. You can get that. But I think that you get closer to getting that next person to the table. Mm-hmm. When their friend says, hey, I rolled these dice. This is my character.
Yeah.
You can do this.
Well, and all of the benefits, and again, never wanting to go down the route of saying other media or other ways to game are not
right.
beneficial or good or anything like that. But we've talked about on the show before that we really feel strongly that opportunity to play in person with I'm going to use the term your people. And when I say that, I mean, when you have found a group of people that resonate with you.
Correct.
And when you can sit at that table with that group of people in person, there's just something a little bit extra.
You're getting a wider
a little bit
array.
More sparkle,
and it does not work unless it is your table. Almost all of those benefits that we discuss, almost all of those emotional, social, countless different ways that we agree that the hobby can benefit a player are almost completely muted if they're at the wrong table.
Yeah. Oh,
you know what I mean?
We've made a phrase before about like bad D&D is worse than no D&D.
Correct.
And that is so true. If you sit down, I don't know how many stories that just sort of break my heart because people are like, oh yeah, I tried to play that game and it was awful.
I remember mine,
this experience or, whatever. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Like I really wish I could, I almost wish I had something like, Elisa's session 0, game but instead it was here, you can go through this little system and we can identify what's your good table, and then match you with your table.
Absolutely.
Because when I hear these stories about, I tried and XYZ happened and it was this awful experience and those stories abound.
Oh, they're everywhere.
I just want to be like, but you don't really know what it is because you haven't done that at your table.
And that's kind of where I think we're going to follow up with some of these good people, but I think that's where an Alex is so necessary in something that is just churning along so hard right now, which is Darrington Press, Critical Role. And that community manager role and that community manager outlook is so vital to keeping the wheels on the thing. You know what I mean?
Right,
because it can just become omnibus, become a monster of itself where you can run the risk, and some people have accused other very famous TTRPGs in the past of straight up losing their community.
Right.
Just losing touch with why we're successful, what we're doing that people like. Why is it important to so many people? And you just get into the units and the dollars and the blah, blah, blah.
Right. It becomes, and we don't need to beat around the bush. I mean, when you talk big corporations and TTRPGs, we can talk WotC, we can talk Hasbro, and will never, ever, ever hear me say I don't love D&D at this studio or table or anything like that. I love the game. But yeah, when you get big, that is one of the challenges.
And you look at White Wolf in the World of Darkness, where they just got so good at producing content, that they forgot to ask what people wanted.
Right.
You hear these stories and see these documentaries about communities that just kind of drift away en masse from the company that they loved. So I'm all for the Alexes of the world to kind of keep that engagement. You should be worried about what's going on in local gaming stores. You should make sure that you've got clubs that are in schools that have your branded products there, not just filling, arenas for massive.
Right.
You know what I mean? It takes all of it to move those units.
Exactly.
Very cool conversation. Very awesome stuff. I have a couple more people that we met that I would like to shout out.
Yes, I don't want to forget them because we saw some really cool stuff.
And these are both people that we met at the Darrington Meet and Greet, and then just at Gen Con on the exhibit floor meeting people. And some people just made more of an impression than others. And if I mispronounce any names whatsoever, it's because I'm doing it on purpose, and I don't know. It is an accident, and you will forgive me. But Stephen Najarian, I'm sorry, Najarian. I'm going to go Najarian.
Sure.
Nigerian.
Let me see.
Oh boy.
All right.
Stephen.
We're going to take
Steve Nigerian art.
Stephen Nigerian is
You're
how
gonna go
I
with
would
that.
do.
I
could be
apologize.
totally wrong, but that would be my
if you
guess.
Are, then we both are, because we're calling him Steve Nigerian for the rest of the segment. Very, very cool guy. First of all, his art's incredible. I recommend that you go out to nigerianart@gmail.com and communicate with him. You can find him at Nigerian Art just about everywhere on the planet and the internet. And check out some of his shit because he likes dragons.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And just some of the vibrance with which he created some of those images was incredible. But that same vibrance was part of his personality.
Yes, and what I loved about his art is he was showing it to us, and he had multiple dragons and other things too, but
Sure.
but what he did with the dragons in particular really stood out to me was multiple pictures, and then he would pair them,
and so you
could see, and he commented that this was purposeful.
Sure.
That you put the two pieces together and it makes it a larger piece. And it was really striking to partner those pieces together. They were beautiful by themselves, but
I love dragons of all kinds.
Right, yeah.
It's really tough to get me to look at an image of one and go, whatever. But the bold colors, the vibrance in his work was really unique to me. He gave us a lot of time at his stand. We did not part with any of our hard-earned money for his products at that time, but he was still engaged, conversation, making you feel welcome. I always feel really, and I think I've mentioned this before, if I'm like at somebody's booth at Gen Con, and I'm not giving them money, I'm always like, okay, I'll get out of the way for the next person.
Right.
You just feel like you're a dud. He wouldn't have it. He kept engaging us. Go around and check this out. Hey, here's the next thing. And it wasn't a high pressure sales pitch thing.
No, it was just, you enjoy this. Take a look at this.
But if you go out to www.nigerianart.com, he has a full store on his website. You can order from there. I recommend it. Very good stuff. Steve, if you're listening and I butchered your last name, come and find me, dude. We'll talk about it. It'll be okay. And in the idea of good art, I'm going to keep going here because there were a few cool people that we met. I can't paint. When I say I can't paint, I mean I can't paint. We had hundreds, if not thousands, of miniatures when I was younger. All of mine looked as though somebody spilled paint on them, rubbed it a little bit, and went, yeah, I'll leave it there.
I have some of those miniatures still.
Yes, and they need to be repainted. So when I find somebody who is doing, especially terrain, hand
I know
painted,
where you're going.
Ladies and gentlemen, Richard Parla.
Oh my goodness. I just got to shout this out. This was something where you are inundated. If you haven't been to Gen Con, you're in the exhibit hall, you are just inundated, and so many booths are doing the same stuff. They're providing accessories to games, and so there is a point at which you're sort of like, oh yeah, that's very similar to what I looked at over there.
Desensitized,
yeah. And we were not even looking in particular for minis or anything like that as we were walking by. And I had to just stop Malcolm and say, oh my God, look at this.
It was just of that quality that you were like, wow, couldn't have been hand painted.
Right.
Hand painted, finished terrain pieces for sale.
And all done by him, he pointed out.
That's him. This is so let me do this properly here. This is Legendary Realms Terrain, where they invite you to bring your game to life. And Richard Parla, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, is the CEO and the artist there. So unique sort of stuff too, not just your run-of-the-mill.
That was what I loved too, because he pointed out, like everybody can do the 3D printing now.
Sure.
And I do think he had pointed out, like, his pieces are 3D printed pieces.
Correct. He's not sculpting.
So he's not denying these are 3D printed pieces, which nothing against 3D printed pieces. They can be amazing. But he hand paints all of them. And so for one thing, every piece is unique. And it's all terrain. It's not minis. It's not, so he's keeping it very focused. But that, there was like a pirate ship. There was, and actually just to that point, he pointed out, like, every year they focus on an area. So they had one year it was desert terrain.
Right. So he's doing different theaters for an entire campaign of creation.
Right. And so if each year he's expanding to another type of terrain. And I think he pointed out that this year it was sort of like a undersea adventure type of situation. And that's where you had this, like, just old shipwrecked, oh my gosh, beautiful ship. And then he said next year, and he had a couple of pieces that you could see.
He had already started on next year's line.
Was Underdark.
Yes.
And those were really impressive,
really
too.
Cool, because he used some of those luminous mushroom sort of looking things. There were really good highlights on it. You can see more of his stuff. Once again, this is Richard Parla, www.lrterrain.com for Legendary Realms. That is lrterrain.com. And if you'd like to interact with him, his card tells you that you can reach out to him at rich.parla, Parla, at lrhobbies.com. But I think he's pretty much a one-man show doing some really unique stuff. And I don't want to, make it sound as though we are getting ad revenue for this.
I was just thinking the same thing. I'm like, people are probably listening and thinking, oh, it's like a commercial thing. Honestly, we are not getting paid for any of this. A lot of these creators don't even know that we are shouting them out. But
you will find links to everybody in the show notes.
Yeah, and the whole point to this, in my opinion, is if you are looking for some really cool stuff to enhance your game, or if you are, if you just love fantasy, or and like to have that kind of art in your home, or whatever it might be, we're just trying to offer people some stuff that we saw, that when we saw it as fans, as gamers, that we were like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I want to go share it with my friends.
We do not have marketing partnerships with any of these people. The other thing is, though, we'd love to. I mean, with anybody. So this is kind of cool practice. But since we just discussed that Richard does not do the sculpting, he is on the 3D printing and hand painting. The next person that we run, and it's very art focused. I just looked down at our list. And
we apparently like art.
But we did. We went and found that section of Gen Con for a lot of reasons while we were in exhibit hall. One guy just had a whole bunch of very cool things. One of them is the dragon head vent.
Yes. This was really cool.
He does sculpt these, and he is a really, really talented guy with an interesting name. And his card is art by David Lee Pancake, and he is a sculptor. He is an illustrator, specializes in dragons, dragon-esque things, and then also superhero works.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's licensed, what's not. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but
I remember actually his booth from last Gen Con.
Really?
Yes. We were, again, in the art section walking by. I was with Jess, and it was one of those, immediately you saw the dragons and you just had to stop.
Had to stop and look.
You had to stop and look. And again, you're inundated by so much, of the same kind of things, that when something really grabs your attention is different, you had to stop and look. And actually, Jess bought one of his little dragons last year.
Did she?
Yeah.
Oh, it was the little curled up one, wasn't
it?
Yes. And it's a little dice holder. He has so many cool things. You can find him at either D Pancake on Instagram. He is on TikTok at David Lee Pancake, David Pancake at Facebook, David Lee Pancake Art on YouTube, and he is very, very talented individual who is now, when I was just looking at his YouTube, kind of doing some how-tos and showing other people like his life and skill work and how he gets these things done. I don't think that David's giving away the store or anything.
No. But sharing his hard-earned knowledge. Yeah. I love that too. That, again, back to bringing more people in, man.
Yep,
you
absolutely.
know, just
making it acceptable, making it accessible, pardon me.
Bringing people to the table.
And I'm almost done with my shout-outs, and then we will get into our Darrington I guess announcements. I'm sorry. When you look at me from across the table and then you whisper something under, I can't, like,
I'm sorry.
There's a massive microphone in front of you.
So everybody knows I am doing horrible podcast faux pas over here of signaling to Malcolm as he's going about his work over there.
Keep
with
talking
names.
For a second.
But yeah, we have we have some really cool announcements that we want to touch on too. Darrington had a big announcement section at Gen Con. If you're interested in getting all of the details about it, you can find it out on YouTube.
It's like an hour and 25-minute video.
Yeah. But some really, really cool announcements that they get. Like you said earlier, Malcolm, it was sort of like, this was their... Critical Role's been out there forever. Darrington's been out there for quite a while. It's not as though they're brand new, but with Daggerheart this year, it was sort of like their debut. It was really cool.
So before we get into them, I've got one more shout out, which is kind of our eternal shout out of our friends that we went to see at Gen Con. We have discussed Oddfish Games and their adventure sense.
Yes.
Probably in 3 different episodes now. Many conversations with people. We don't have their permission to be out there talking about their kick-ass products, but we're doing it anyway. And every time we do, we always get to Fetid Swamp.
Yes, we do.
And we just kind of leave it there. So I feel like it's been an unfair representation of what Oddfish and Adventure Sense have been doing.
If you would like to add an olfactory essence to your gaming situation, Fetid Swamp is one of the opportunities you have. However, Oddfish does give so many more.
So many better ones than Fetid Swamp. But you've just got, I look and then the next one that I see, Putrid Sewers. But
I don't think I saw that one, and I'm so glad I didn't smell it.
An Autumn Harem.
I saw that one. I did not smell it though. I'm intrigued by how that one would smell. I didn't want to get any of that on me. I was afraid I'd have. But things like a Dragon Lair.
Sounds
like it would be gross, but actually was really sort of cool.
That was Dragon's Cave, and then you've got Vampire's Lair.
Okay,
you've got things like a warm bakery. How cool would that be?
Oh, can you imagine just the smell of, like, say, fresh bread or cinnamon rolls?
So many different things. A smoking room, a smoky campfire, an ice castle. How the hell do you singularly identify what an ice castle would smell like?
Well, like I'm thinking of this in my brain, and I'm like, okay, like snow has a smell. Mm-hmm. Like when it's about to snow, you know, ice has a smell. How do you capture that? That's my question.
How do you capture something as cool as a cinematic gunfight smell?
Oh,
you know
interesting.
What I mean? They've really gone out there. This is not this smells like a desert, and now this smells like a forest land.
No, they've gotten really unique, specific scents.
A fortune teller's wagon.
Oh.
So you can take these scents and they come in packs and they're beads. You don't need to light them on fire or do anything with them.
No, you just pass them around. You can smell them.
Into the area that people, and it's going to add another dimension to it's going to bring more life to your games. And I just wanted to go back there because those were some people that, once again, were very, very generous with us at the con that have been communicating with us. And we have mentioned their adventure scent so many times, but I don't think we've listed anything besides Fetid Swamp. So I feel, dude, a pool of acid.
Yeah.
You're in the Black Dragon's lair. Oh, I've got the Dragon's Cave scent.
And they have
as you get closer,
a pool of acid. Now it's a green dragon, you know? Right. Yeah, very cool. And they have some too, like that are like a meadow, you know?
Yeah.
And
a tea party.
Yeah.
How about a time machine?
Oh, that could be fun.
That would have been very, very cool. I'm not going to read them all off to you. I am going to recommend that you go and buy online at oddfishgames.com so you too can be at a table and know exactly what it smells like when you're at a sandy beach having a royal feast near Roman baths in a public park.
Now, that was a commercial, and it was hilarious.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
Thank you. So, yes, Odd Fish Games, our good friends over there, were amazing to us, and I wanted to give them one more Gen Con re-wrap, post-wrap, wrap-up.
So I feel like something we've been sitting on this whole episode, haven't really teased it very much, probably should have teased it more, but was all of this announcements that Darrington made.
They had a big stage and a lot of big names walked across it.
They did. So I know you've got sort of a highlight list over there.
And I don't know that it is all-inclusive, completely comprehensive, but these were the things that kind of stuck out to me. If you're Darrington Press Crit Roll and you're in that community right now, some things for you to get really farking excited about. First thing that they said is, hey, sorry guys, we're still selling out every time.
Oh yeah, Daggerheart is just...
You can't keep Daggerheart on the shelves anywhere in any form.
And that was funny because even at the meet and greet, we talked a little bit about products and availability and things like that, like for community outreach type of stuff. And it was like... it's just hard to get a hold of even for them. Right.
So like people are literally printing off the free PDFs that are out there inside the website. That was just kind of a little bit, I thought.
To that though, you can purchase the full core rule book as a PDF.
Correct. Correct. No one is prevented from playing the game right now.
Right.
But it was kind of a little victory lap statement. I thought was, we're still having trouble.
Right. We just did another release and it just sold out again.
In like any community, our fandoms and our nerddoms are never satiated. So everybody's been beating their foot on the floor. I bought the pack. I got my Daggerheart limited edition. But when do I get X? What's next? You almost want to say, hey, let these people breathe for a minute.
Right.
But I'm also one of those fandom nerdum dudes. It's like, what's next? What was next were class packs, cards for Daggerheart that are going to be class, multi-class, and dual-class specific additions onto your core pack.
Oh, I love that.
That was very, very well received. I think 76 cards was the run. How long they'll be able to keep things in stock at local gaming stores and online is yet to be known. Also, another cool thing that's out there is free on the Darrington Press website or the Daggerheart website is a homebrew kit.
Yes, the homebrew kit has
Daggerheart.
really hit the community for those interested in Daggerheart and been really well received.
What's the first thing I want to do when I learn the rules of an RPG?
Homebrew it.
Homebrew it. Change them.
I stopped you from doing it. I'm so sorry, but with Daggerheart, and I'm getting the stink eye over here.
Well, that was one session.
But legitimately, like to your point, that is the first time ever you have not homebrewed a game you've run.
And I can say that I've already ported 3 or 4 mechanics, characteristics, and rules from Daggerheart into our D&D game.
Yep.
So people want to homebrew.
Yeah.
And why make it difficult? This is for those people like me that want to tweak and still stay within the tried and true righteous arena of playing Daggerheart in that world. It's also for third-party creators. Not going to go down this rabbit hole very far. We've touched on it before. Darrington's got a very well-written OGL.
Yes.
So offering this homebrew kit to those people that still want to work in that third-party creation space to collaborate inside of the Daggerheart world, it lets you know what you can do.
Right.
And it's very important to not discourage, even if you are going to ultimately have to limit a little bit early on what people can do. So I dug that. They walked the big boys across the stage, too.
They did, of course. And this was a really cool announcement.
It was. So everybody is aware at this point in time that Crawford and Perkins have gone to work for Darrington Press after retiring from WotC and Hasbro. They're getting their hands on Daggerheart now.
Uh-oh.
So we can expect a full setting creation and several storylines that are already existing frame adjacent. So they get to sit down, and this is pretty much letting...
And I mean, you've just released this world, and now you've just put this announcement out there a couple months later of we have an entire new setting that is going to be released for play. That's really pretty cool. And created by people that so much of the community already, loves their product and what they create. It was a really cool announcement. That's an exciting announcement.
It is. They also got, and I forget their names because they're not in front of me right now, but the
Eberron?
Yes. The creators of so many settings inside the Eberron world are now partnering with Darrington Press and Daggerheart. So you are just bringing in names upon names upon names. And those were 2 names that I did not write down, but we will have soon for you to grow this world, this setting of Daggerheart, and to give it more depth, more richness, and just to have people that have done that previously in other areas bring that collaborative talent to the table and just get to play in that world and grow it, I think is a huge thing. They also did not shy away from collabing with some live play groups to do Daggerheart. A lot of people have their favorites.
Collaborations that they listed out.
And they want those audiences to identify with their game from seeing their favorite, live play groups do it. So you've got heavy hitters like Legends of Antris that are going to come through and do an entire arc with Daggerheart. And then I believe that they did say Dungeons and Daddies is in
that was a good
shot.
one. Yeah,
absolutely.
So I'm horrible, but I will list out one of our Eberron creators is Keith Baker.
Okay. And just to have these names that have really done what you can do in this industry, and we're really kind of willing to step away. I mean, Perkins and Crawford were doing the retirement thing, but to get them to come into your world and add what they can do creatively to it is going to be a huge thing. So that was a massive announcement. Another thing for people that really like the minis. Oh, did you find it?
I did.
It's Jen something.
Jen Ellis.
It's Jen Ellis.
Yes,
it's Ellis and Baker.
Yes.
From Eberron are now going to collaborate in the world of Daggerheart with Darrington Press.
And apologies to everyone for just not being able to remember their names at the moment. We've got so many names and companies in our head right now.
My pre-show notes are ugly right now. But what's not ugly is Darrington Press Critical Role, Daggerheart collaborating with Hero Forge.
Yes, so this was really exciting.
And some of the people that we talked to, like...
That's
Elise,
where I was going. Yeah, Elise was so excited. One of the very first things she mentioned was the partnership with Hero Forge and being able to have some of those unique ancestries that are unique to Daggerheart. Because if people have played, orcs are orcs, but they do have things like the ribbit or the fungrel that are unique to the Daggerheart world.
Agreed.
And Hero Forge is going to be printing those minis. And
they are.
The really cool thing that she was so excited to share was the fact that you could pick and choose parts. So like, Daggerheart, if you haven't played, but it allows you to be multi-ancestral, different than like sort of being like a half elf or anything. But they don't put any restrictions on like, you could have multiple ancestries, not just 2, and so she's like, you could have a tail from one thing and maybe a shell from another, yes. and you can completely uniquely design your character based on the different ancestries in Daggerheart. I thought that was really cool.
Huge. And that's a big commitment from Hero Forge to be able to get the functionality in there that imagine all of the different variations that they would have to speak to. So very, very cool. I imagine that took some planning. Daggerheart dice are going to be a thing.
Yes.
And
they have some already.
They do. And they come with the set. And it kind of, because I'm like, all right, it's a D12. Okay,
but it's got their logo on it.
Branded for their game. Probably going to do really neat and unique things with the contrast between the hope and the fear.
That's what I was just going to say is I think that's what's sort of fun about them. I mean, you can use any D12, but the
But we are nerds and we are
contrasting
geeks.
colors and sort of making those hope and fear die a little bit unique for being hope and fear. Sort of
correct.
Cool.
So they've partnered with 3 different
and there's never enough
companies.
dice.
There's never enough dice. Just ask companies like Dispel Dice or Botch Dice or Misty Mountain Gaming, who all now have collaborative partnerships to build those things out.
And I will say again, we are not getting paid for anything, but I have a beautiful set of dice from Misty Mountain.
Yes, we do. Other thing that you came to me with that I'm not sure was part of that announcement.
It was not. This is a more newly let out there announcement. So this is sort of cool. Go ahead.
A video game.
Yes, Critical Role video game. So not Daggerheart.
Correct.
And it
going
is
to be set in Exandria.
It is Exandria, and the characters are going to be taken from the various Critical Role,
the Mighty
Nine, Vox Machina, etc. And one of the things I thought was really cool about it, people can probably take this either which way, was the fact that, I mean, for one thing, let's just say production is just barely starting on this. There is no release date
Nobody's
yet.
got a release date. It's happening.
But they are purposefully not trying to make this a massive, AAA game.
Mm-hmm.
They are more concerned with getting something out there for fans.
Right.
And so it's going to probably be a little bit simpler. It is definitely going to be narrative focused like Daggerheart is.
Correct.
And have some of your favorite Critical Role players or characters and in their world. So it should be fun for fans.
I don't know what else I have as far as, I'm sure that there were other announcements. I do recommend you go if you weren't at Gen Con, you weren't in that room, and you didn't get all of the pomp and the pageantry of, I think Matt Mercer leaving the GM seat for Critical Roles next.
Yes.
And Brendan Lee Mulligan will be taking over the GM seat, but don't worry, Matt's in the room, Matt's at a chair, Matt's at the table, and Matt's playing.
That, I will personally say, and I don't do a lot of live play. You know this. We've talked about this on the show before. Nothing against it. I just would rather be playing the game than watching the game.
Right.
I would watch that. I just to see Matt as a player and not a GM, I would find that intriguing.
They're going to do a second season of the Age of Umbra live play. And yes, kind of cool that, I didn't think it was going to be very long before we found Brendan Lee Mulligan around and involved in. But yeah, I'm the same guy. That's not huge news to me because that's not what. But I like the idea that the GM's is able to sit down, play the game.
Wait.
The GM doesn't have to GM all the time.
The GM plays the game?
You can just sit down just like any other player and play the game.
Do you know how to do that?
No, but I now know it can be done.
Okay, that's not fair. I spin you out every now and then so that you can sit at table.
Yes, absolutely. So many great people that we met. We are going to do a follow-up with the Oddfish Games Radiance system and have a little bit of a segment on that because we like what we see there and are working it into our D&D game. We're going to have some more conversation with those folks. Maybe get an interview going, which is our long-term plan. But what a great
Gen Con was fun, and I think we're probably, if those of you are like, really Gen Con again, or Darrington again, or Daggerheart again, apologies. We just feel like there's been so much really fun and interesting things moving in that world, in the TTRPG community in that world, and we've really loved sharing that information with you. But yeah, it's I think we're officially closing the Gen Con chapter for this year.
It's done. There's not going to be another episode with next year we've got a lot of lofty goals for getting back there, but it was good to spend the time on what we did, I think.
Yeah.
And if you are one of the folks that we shout out and you hear this, we would love to collaborate and shine a light on what you're doing however we can from our humble seats, and still would love to hear your Gen Con stories too. But that is a wrap of a wrap of a wrap.
It is.
Of Gen Con 2025.
All right, guys. We are so grateful that you are joining us at the table. You have been listening to Finding Atoria, a TTRPG podcast that has a couple of few friends that have been gaming for decades and love to share the TTRPG world with others and bring them to the table.
We do it every week.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.